This video is about the farmer was mocked but a millionaire took his hand. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. ## farmer was mocked but a millionaire took his hand. ## Part 1. In the gentle hills of Cedar Valley, a small farm stood resilient, framed against a backdrop of vibrant sunsets. It belonged to a farmer named Lee Thompson. At 52, Lee had seen more seasons than most, weathering countless storms, both literal and metaphorical. His hands were calloused from years of toil, yet they held a tenderness reserved for the seedlings he nurtured. The townsfolk often whispered about him. The dreamer, they called him, with a mix of derision and pity. Lee had long nurtured a vision, one that reached far beyond the confines of his land. He believed in organic farming, a method that was becoming increasingly rare amid the rise of commercial agriculture. While others invested in machinery and chemicals, Lee was committed to the earth, believing that nurturing it would yield more than just crops. It would cultivate a community. Lee, why don't you join the co-op? His neighbor, Bill, asked one day, leaning against the fence that separated their properties. You'd make a lot more money. Lee wiped his brow, glancing at his patch of green, blooming with corn and beans. Because, Bill, I want my children to know what real food tastes like. I want them to understand the connection to the land. Bill scoffed. Your kids are gonna starve if you keep dreaming. Open your eyes, man. Yet Lee carried on with unwavering resolve. Every morning, he rose before the sun, tending to his crops, humming old folk songs. The rhythm of his work filled him with purpose, despite the relentless teasing from the townsfolk. Let them mock, he would tell himself, my harvest will speak for itself. As summer waned, Lee faced an unexpected challenge. A severe drought hit Cedar Valley, leaving fields parched and crops wilting. Lee watched helplessly as his once thriving farm turned brown and lifeless. Yet, amidst despair, he refused to surrender. In the shadows of adversity, he found his inner strength. Maybe I could install rainwater barrels, or maybe, he murmured to himself one night, tracing his fingers along an old map of the valley. For every ounce of discouragement, a spark of innovation ignited within him. As the days passed, Lee devised a plan. He recalled an ancient method of regenerative agriculture that involved deep-rooted crops and cover planting. While others abandoned their fields, he labored on, determined to implement his ideas. The townsfolk watched, skeptical but intrigued. One afternoon, a luxurious black car rolled into Cedar Valley. It was a striking sight against the rustic backdrop. Out stepped Victor Hayes, a millionaire known for his vast investments in tech startups and luxury goods. Yet, his heart was captivated by land and agriculture. Having grown up in a farming family, he felt a longing to return to his roots to understand the struggles of farmers like Lee. Victor noticed the forlorn fields and the solitary figure working tirelessly under the blazing sun. He parked his car and approached Elliott's farm, curiosity tugging at his heart. "Hello there," Victor called out, his voice echoing across the field. Lee paused and turned, wiping the sweat from his brow. His initial instinct was to be wary. "Can I help you?" "I am Victor Hayes. I've come to explore the valley," he said, a smile revealing warmth behind his polished exterior. "I couldn't help but notice your land. It's beautiful." Lee shrugged, the pride he felt tangled with a hint of self-doubt. "It's struggling like the rest of us. Drought's been hard on everyone." Victor stepped closer, intrigued. "I've heard about your methods. Organic farming, right? The town talks a lot." "They talk," Lee replied, his voice steady but tinged with vulnerability. "But I believe it's worth it. I want to do more than just grow food. I want to enrich the soil and the community." Victor nodded, admiration stirring within him. That's rare these days. Most would take the easy route. Two men stood in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken struggles hanging in the air. Lee felt a flicker of hope, but the skepticism bred by years of mockery loomed in the back of his mind. "Why are you interested in farming?" Lee asked, curiosity breaking through his reservations. "I grew up on a farm," Victor shared, a nostalgic tone softening his voice. "My parents struggled too, but there was beauty in it, the connection to the land, to the food." Lee sensed a kindred spirit in Victor's words. "It's with every ounce of energy, but it takes a lot to keep it going," he admitted. "I can imagine," Victor said. "What if I offer to support your efforts? Maybe we can create something together." Lee's heart raced. The townsfolk would never believe it, a millionaire extending a hand to a mop farmer. "What do you mean?" he asked cautiously. "Let us work on a sustainable initiative," Victor proposed, his eyes shining with possibility. "I can help you secure funding and resources, and we can showcase organic methods that heal both land and community." Lee hesitated, suspicion creeping in. "And why would you do this? What's in it for you?" Victor chuckled softly. "Honestly, to reconnect with my roots, to learn, and maybe, just maybe, to inspire others." For a moment, Lee stood in disbelief. The cycle of mockery and skepticism seemed destined to repeat, yet there was an undercurrent of hope tugging at him. He envisioned his farm flourishing, attracting visitors who would experience the magic of the earth. "Okay," Ellie finally replied, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Let's give it a try." As they shook hands, a new chapter began, one filled with uncertainty but rich with potential. In that moment, both men felt the weight of burdens lift, replaced by the promise of partnership. Ellie returned to his fields, the sun setting behind him, casting a golden hue over the soil. With Victor as support, he could finally bring his dreams to fruition. But deep down, he knew the journey ahead would not be without its struggles. The townsfolk were watching, and Ellie could hear their whispers. Would this be a turning point or another mockery of his dreams? Yet, as he gazed across his land, his heart filled with determination. The beauty of human spirit lies not in the absence of struggles, but in the resilience to rise and face them. Lee took a deep breath, welcoming the challenges and the hope that came with them. The future was unbidden, and he was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Hash hash hash, the farmer was mocked, but a millionaire took his hand. Hash 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 part 2. As the weeks turned into months, a whirlwind of activity enveloped Lee's farm. Victor brought with him not only financial support but a network of agricultural experts who shared Lee's vision for sustainable practices. They brainstormed ideas, plowed through challenges, and cultivated a camaraderie that blossomed amid the soil they worked. One crisp autumn morning, Victor arrived with a small team of specialists, their enthusiasm palpable. Lee stood at the entrance of his farm, hands resting on his hips, heart fluttering with a blend of excitement and trepidation. He had never imagined such energy would surround his fields. "Good morning, Lee," Victor called out, waving energetically. "Ready for another productive day?" "Let us see what you've got planned," Ellie replied, a hint of a smile breaking through his usually reserved demeanor. The day unfolded with demonstrations of advanced techniques that respected nature's rhythms. They introduced cover crops designed to enrich the soil during the off-season, and Ellie watched in awe as they transformed patches of his land into vibrant green carpets. It was a stark contrast to the parched earth he had faced just months before. "Imagine what this will do for the nutrients," one of the agronomists said, kneeling beside Ellie as they planted new seeds together. "Healthy soil means healthy plants, and healthy plants mean a thriving community." Elias' heart hungered for that vision, but doubt crept in like a shadow. "What if the townsfolk still doubt us?" he asked, looking to Victor for reassurance. "Let them doubt," Victor replied, a firm resolve in his voice. "We're not doing this for them. We're doing it for you, your family, and the future of farming." The sun dipped low in the sky, bathing the field in a golden light. Lee gazed across his farm, the lush green emerging as a testament to perseverance. As laughter echoed among the team, he felt an ember of hope flicker within him. However, the journey ahead was fraught with challenges. Despite the changes to his farm, the community remained skeptical. Whispers of ridicule curled around his back like tendrils of smoke. "Look at him, trying to change the world," they sneered. "A millionaire playing farmer." Lee clenched his fists, frustration simmering beneath the surface. But Victor stood beside him, unwavering. "Remember, Lee," he said softly, "the only opinions that matter are the ones that lift you up." Encouraged by Victor's support, Lee pressed on. They organized workshops to educate the community about sustainable practices, inviting locals to witness the transformation firsthand. Yet, as they prepared for the first event, Elias' anxiety bubbled over. "What if no one shows up?" he fretted, pacing nervously. Victor placed a steadying hand on Elias' shoulder. "They will come, Eli, and when they see the changes, they'll understand. You're not just a farmer, you're a pioneer." The day of the workshop dawned bright and clear. Lee stood at the entrance of his farm, heart racing as people trickled in, their faces a mix of curiosity and skepticism. He took a deep breath, reminding himself that he was not there to convince everyone but to share his passion. "Welcome, everyone," Lee called out, his voice echoing across the field. "Today, I want to share not just my farm but my vision for the future." As he spoke of regenerative agriculture, the glimmers of doubt in their eyes began to fade. He shared stories of resilience, the dark days of drought, and the hope that blossomed through partnership with Victor. His passion ignited a spark in some attendees who began to ask questions, their interest piqued. Yet, as the crowd mingled and explored the farm, a familiar voice broke through the hopeful atmosphere. "What a waste of time," they shouted. It was Bill, Elias' neighbor. "You're just chasing a pipe dream." Lee's heart sank, but Victor stepped forward. "Bill, what if you spent a day working alongside Ali, learning about his methods? You might find a new appreciation for what he is creating." "Why would I waste my time?" Bill scoffed. "Because sometimes the best way to understand is to see it for yourself," Victor replied, unwavering. After a tense moment, Bill crossed his arms, his expression unreadable. "Fine, I'll give it a shot, but I want to be impressed, just so you know." Elias' heart raced at the unexpected challenge. Bill had always been a voice of doubt, and now here he was, stepping into the world he cherished. The weeks that followed were transformative not only for Elias' farm, but for the community as well. Bill joined Ali and Victor, learning to tend the soil, plant seeds, and nurture the land. With every shared laugh and moment of learning, a bond began to form, an unexpected friendship born from shared labor and respect. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Ali and Bill found themselves sitting on a wooden fence post, watching the day fade away. "You know," Bill began hesitantly, "I might have underestimated you." Lee raised an eyebrow, unsure of where this was leading. "What do you mean?" "I didn't get it before. I thought you were just a dreamer. But now I see you've created something real," Bill admitted, his voice softer but sincere. Lee chuckled, warmth blooming in his chest. "It's been hard work, but I believe in what we're doing together. We can change this community's outlook on farming." "Maybe I was wrong," Bill said, a hint of vulnerability creeping into his tone. "Maybe there is more to farming than just the bottom line." The words felt like a victory, a small but significant step toward healing the rift that had existed between them. Lee smiled, his heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you, Bill. It means a lot to hear that." As the seasons changed, word about Elias' farm spread beyond Cedar Valley. People began to flock to his fields, eager to learn about organic farming and the practices that honored the earth. Elias' vision was coming to fruition, and with it, the town slowly transformed its perception of him. Yet, challenges continued to arise. A sudden storm swept through Cedar Valley, bringing heavy rains that threatened to wash away the hard work of months. Lee and Victor worked tirelessly, reinforcing barriers and diverting water flow. Through the chaos, Lee's resilience shone brightly. "Stay focused, Ali. We've prepared for this," Victor shouted over the roar of the rain. "Remember what we learned. I won't let it go to waste." Lee shouted back, determination igniting his spirit. The storm raged on, but they fought against nature as fury, using all they had learned. Their bond deepened as they worked side by side, battling the elements. In the heart of the storm, they discovered a new layer of strength within themselves, a reminder that hope often shines brightest in the darkest storms. When the rains finally subsided, they surveyed the damage. Fields were flooded, but the infrastructure they had put in place held strong. Elias' heart sank at the sight of loss, but as he looked at Victor, he saw unwavering support reflected back. "We'll rebuild, Ali. Together," Victor assured him, undeterred. In that moment, Lee realized their partnership was more than just business. It was a testament to the beauty of the human spirit. They had endured much together, and for every challenge faced, they emerged stronger, more united. "Let us organize a community effort," Ali suggested, his voice steady with newfound hope. "We can invite everyone to help us restore the farm." Victor nodded, a smile breaking across his face. "That's a brilliant idea. We can turn this setback into an opportunity to bring the community closer together." As they spread the word, the townsfolk surprised Ali by rallying to his side. Friends, neighbors, and even some who had once mocked him brought tools and determination to help rebuild after the storm. Together, they worked through the long days, laughing, sharing stories, and nurturing a newfound respect for Elias' dream. With each passing day, the bond within the community grew stronger, transforming mere spectators into active participants in Elias' vision. They shared in both the burdens and the triumphs, finding beauty in collaboration and resilience. As the fields began to recover, Lee stood at the edge of his land, looking out at the horizon. The sun dipped low, and he felt gratitude swell in his chest. "I never imagined my dream could go like this," he whispered to himself. Victor approached and clapped a hand on his shoulder. "You've always had this strength, Ali. You just needed to let it shine." Months later, as the harvest season approached, Lee organized a festival to celebrate not just the fruits of their labor, but the community that had united around him. Laughter echoed, children played, and the air brimmed with the aroma of fresh, organic food. It felt as if a new chapter had begun, one filled with hope and connection. Standing before the crowd, Ellie reflected on the journey from a mock farmer to a beacon of resilience and hope. "Thank you for believing in this vision," he called out, his voice thick with emotion. "Together, we have shown that even in the face of adversity, we can rise and cultivate something beautiful." The crowd erupted in applause, and Elias' heart swelled with pride. Around him stood not just supporters. Hashash the farmer was mocked, but a millionaire took his hand. Hashash Part 3. The festival buzzed with joy, and as Eli stood at the heart of it all, he felt a warmth radiate from the people surrounding him. Gone were the whispers of mockery and doubt. They had been replaced with cheers of encouragement and gratitude. The townsfolk came together, united by the beauty of the land and the spirit of resilience they had fostered together. "Look at this, Eli!" Victor shouted over the laughter, waving an arm toward the crowd. "You've turned a dream into a reality." Eli laughed, his heart swelling. "I couldn't have done it without you, Victor. You believed when others didn't." Victor smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "And you showed everyone that dreams can take root and flourish, if only we nurture them." As the sun cast its golden glow on the rows of freshly harvested produce, Eli felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over him. It was a harvest of hope, and it was far richer than he had ever imagined. However, even amid the celebration, Eli's thoughts wandered to the challenges that still lay ahead. The storm had tested their resilience, but the scars it left were still fresh. He wanted to ensure that the community would continue to support these sustainable methods, not just for him but for future generations of farmers. "Victor," Eli said, his tone shifting to reflect his seriousness. "This is just the beginning. We need to keep the momentum going." "I agree," Victor replied, his gaze serious. "Let us brainstorm ways to keep the community involved year-round, education, workshops, maybe even a local market." Lee nodded enthusiastically. "A market that could showcase not only my produce but also the talents of our community bakers, artisans, everyone." Victor's eyes lit up. "And we can hold events around it, seasonal festivals, classes on organic farming, cooking demonstrations. The possibilities are endless." Fueled by a shared vision, they spent the following weeks planning meticulously. As the sun set each evening, Lee and Victor would gather in the barn, surrounded by notes and sketches, fueled by caffeine and a mutual enthusiasm that echoed through the barn's walls. They envisioned a future where Cedar Valley transformed into a hub of sustainable agriculture. But as the days turned into weeks, Lee's heart carried the weight of apprehension. What if the town took lost interest? What if they reverted to old habits? He recalled the skepticism that had shadowed his dreams for so long. One evening, as they put the finishing touches on their plans, he voiced his concerns. "Victor, what if everyone forgets? What if this excitement is just a fleeting moment?" Victor paused, his expression thoughtful. "Eli, change takes time, but you've already sparked something in this community. You've ignited a fire. You just have to keep feeding it." Lee took a deep breath, letting the words settle within him. He knew Victor was right. The journey was as much about nurturing the spirit of the community as it was about the land itself. Weeks later, the inaugural Cedar Valley Farmers Market opened its doors. The entire town buzzed with excitement, and Eli stood at his booth, surrounded by baskets brimming with vibrant vegetables and herbs. The air filled with the sweet aroma of baked goods from local bakers and the laughter of children playing nearby. "Eli, you have to try this," shouted Sophie, a farmer's daughter who had become a dear friend. She held out a piece of her mother's famous apple pie, a mixture of sweet and tart that danced on Eli's palate. He took a bite, savoring the moment. "This is incredible, Sophie. Your mom has outdone herself." "I know," she laughed, her cheeks flushed with pride. "The best apples come from your farm." Lee chuckled, grateful for the bonds that had formed. It seemed as if each interaction at the market added another stitch to the fabric of their community, a tapestry woven from resilience, kindness, and shared purpose. As the day progressed, Lee noticed familiar faces among the crowd. Neighbors who had once scoffed at his dreams now wandered his booth, picking up produce and chatting with each other about sustainable farming practices. It warmed his heart to see their perception shift. "Eli," a voice called out. It was Bill, his former neighbor whose skepticism had once stung. "You've really outdone yourself." "Thanks, Bill. I couldn't do it without all the support," Eli replied, sincerity in his voice. Bill scratched his chin, looking contemplative. "I've been thinking about trying my hand at growing some organic vegetables. You think I could come by for some tips?" Eli's heart leaped at the request. "Absolutely. I'd love to show you whatever you learned. It's all about working with the land, not against it." Bill nodded, a hint of excitement crossing his features. "I'll bring my son too. He needs to learn about hard work." That sounds perfect. Lee beamed, grateful for the opportunity to bridge their friendship further. The market became a weekly gathering, a place where Lee could share his gleanings and connect deeper with the community. Yet, beneath the excitement, Lee grappled with a nagging worry. How could he ensure that the spirit of the market would endure beyond the initial enthusiasm? One evening, while sorting through the day's earnings, Lee confided in Victor. "What can we do to keep this passion alive? I don't want it to fade." Victor leaned back in his chair, considering. "Let us create a community council. We can involve local farmers, bakers, and even chefs to brainstorm ideas together." Lee's eyes lit up. "That's brilliant. If we involve everyone, they all feel ownership of this movement. It becomes more than just a market, it becomes a lifestyle." As plans unfolded, Ellie felt a renewed sense of purpose. They organized monthly council meetings where community members gathered to discuss ideas, share experiences, and plan future initiatives. The council became a lively space filled with laughter, debates, and collaboration. Yet not all was smooth sailing. As the months rolled by, challenges emerged. Some in the community resisted the changes, clinging to the old ways of farming and dismissing the new methods as nothing more than fads. One evening during a council meeting, tensions flared. "This organic stuff is nonsense," shouted a voice from the back, a local farmer named Greg, whose pride in his traditional methods overshadowed any openness to change. "We've farmed this way for generations. Why should we change now?" Billy felt his heart race, nerves tightening. "Greg, I understand your concerns. Change can be daunting, but we've all seen the benefits of these methods. Our soil is thriving." "It's not about the soil for me, Billy. That's about tradition," Greg retorted, crossing his arms defiantly. Victor stepped in, his voice steady and calm. "Tradition is important, Greg, but it is equally important to adapt. We can honor the past while building a sustainable future together." Silence enveloped the room, a weight of unspoken thoughts hanging in the air. Lee could feel the divide, but he also sensed a flicker of curiosity in Greg's eyes. "Why don't we try something?" Lee proposed, his voice rising with determination. "Let us hold a friendly competition, a yield challenge. Each of us can grow a small patch of land using our methods, and we can see which produces better results." The idea hung in the air, and Ali held his breath, waiting for a response. At last, Greg uncrossed his arms, a hint of a smile breaking through. "Okay, I am in, but don't you think I'll lose?" Laughter erupted, and Ali felt a wave of relief wash over him. This wasn't just about competition, it was about fostering cooperation and understanding. As the challenge unfolded, the community rallied around it, each farmer showcasing their methods and celebrating the beauty of their shared land. Greg's traditional techniques flourished, while Lily's organic methods thrived as well. The competition became a bridge, allowing differing perspectives to coexist and share knowledge. In the end, when the results were shared, both sides found merit in each other's approach. "You know," Greg said, wiping his brow after a long day of work, "there is something to be said for those regenerative practices of yours, Lee." "Thanks, Greg. I've learned so much from your techniques too," Ellie replied, feeling a sense of camaraderie swell between them. With that small exchange, barriers began to crumble. The community found strength in diversity, recognizing that each farmer brought something unique to the table. Resilience came not just from overcoming obstacles but from learning to grow together, shaping a more robust future. As the seasons changed and the years rolled on, Leah's farm continued to thrive. The Cedar Valley Farmers Market flourished, drawing visitors from neighboring towns, eager to learn and taste the bounty of the land. One sunny afternoon, as Lee wandered through the bustling market, he spotted Sophie's booth, now filled with not just pies but a variety of goods made by young entrepreneurs inspired by their collective journey. Their passion echoed through the air, and Lee felt a deep sense of pride. "Billy, look what we made!" Sophie exclaimed, showcasing a colorful display of homemade jams and preserves. "All from the fruits we grew together." Lee marveled at the transformation, tears pricking his eyes. "This is beautiful, Sophie." Hashishash the farmer was mocked, but the millionaire took his hand. Hashishash Part 4. As the sun set over Cedar Valley, Lee stood outside his farmhouse, the cool evening air brushing softly against his skin. The glow of twilight enveloped him, a reminder of how far he had come. The once skeptical townsfolk had transformed into a vibrant community, united by a shared vision of sustainability and resilience. Yet beneath the outward joy, Lee felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. The last harvest had been bountiful, but the unpredictable weather and looming economic uncertainties haunted him. He had worked hard to build something meaningful, but would it last? "Hey, Lee." Bill called out, walking over with a basket filled with fresh vegetables. "Have you seen the latest report on the weather? Is Storm S coming in next week?" Lee nodded, his heart sinking at the thought. "I've seen it. We'll need to prepare the fields and make sure everything is secure. I know a few tricks from the old days, ways to protect crops during rough storms," Bill offered, a sincerity in his voice. "Let us work together." Lee's heart swelled with gratitude. "Thank you, Bill. It means a lot to have your support." They spent the next few days reinforcing the farm's infrastructure, the laughter echoing through the fields as they shared stories, strategies, and hard-earned wisdom. As they worked, Lee marveled at how the bond between them had grown, woven together by shared labor and respect. It felt like a new dawn, one full of hope. But as the storm approached, a sense of foreboding gripped Lee. He gathered the team for an urgent meeting to devise a plan. Victor joined them, his calm demeanor cutting through the tension. "All right, everyone," Lee began, looking around at the faces of his team, friends, and neighbors who had become family. "We know what is coming. We need to work together to ensure our crops survive this storm. Let us reinforce the drainage systems," Victor suggested, nodding to the map spread across the table. "We can divert excess water away from vulnerable areas. And we can create barriers around the most delicate plants," Bill added. "I still have some old fencing that might help." With renewed determination, they sprang into action. The storm clouds loomed ominously overhead, but the spirit of the community shone brightly beneath. They worked tirelessly, united by a shared purpose, even as the wind began to howl and the first raindrops fell. As night fell, the storm unleashed its fury. Rain poured down in sheets, and the wind whipped through the valley like an orchestra of chaos. They felt anxiety knotting in his stomach. They had done everything possible, but nature was unpredictable. "Stay focused, Ali," Victor shouted, his voice barely piercing through the howl of the storm. "Remember the preparations we made. We can get through this." Lee nodded, taking a deep breath. "We're in this together." When morning broke, the storm had passed, leaving a blanket of silence draped over the valley. Lee stepped outside, his heart racing as he surveyed the damage. Fields were drenched, some areas flooded, while others bore scars from the violent wind. With a heavy heart, he walked through the mud, searching for signs of hope amidst the devastation. "Over here!" Bill's voice broke through, filled with urgency. Lee hurried over to find Bill kneeling beside the crops, his expression a mixture of despair and relief. "Look, some of them survived." Lee knelt beside Bill, his heart fluttering as he surveyed the rows of plants that had braved the storm. "We can rebuild. We'll all work together to restore what was lost." "We will," Bill affirmed, standing up with renewed determination. "This isn't just your dream, Lee, it's ours. We've built something special here, and we can't let it go to waste." As they rallied the community to help restore the farm, Lee felt a sense of unity enveloping them. Friends, neighbors, and even those who had once mocked him returned to lend their hands. Together, they dug trenches, planted new seedlings, and reinforced barriers, turning despair into action. Days turned into weeks, and while the scars of the storm remained, the promise of new growth emerged. Lee watched as seedlings pushed through the soil, a symbol of resilience and hope. "Look at that!" Victor exclaimed one morning, kneeling beside Lee to inspect the new sprouts. "It is a testament to the strength of this community. You've inspired everyone." Lee felt a warmth spread through him at Victor's words. "I couldn't have done this without you. Your belief in my vision helped ignite their passion." As the new crops grew, Lee decided it was time to share their journey with a broader audience. "We should hold a community event, Victor's celebration of resilience and hope," he suggested. "Show everyone that even in the face of adversity, we can rise together." Victor's eyes lit up. "That is a brilliant idea. We can invite local farmers, chefs, and families. Let everyone see the power of community." The plans began to take shape, and excitement surged through the valley. They organized workshops, cooking demonstrations, and discussions on sustainable practices. The event became a celebration of not just the harvest but the unity forged through struggle. On the day of the event, a palpable energy filled the air. Families gathered, laughter mingling with the scent of freshly baked bread and roasted vegetables. Lee stood at the center of it all, his heart swelling with gratitude as he watched the community come together, united by this shared journey. "Welcome, everyone," he called out, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Today, we celebrate not just the fruits of our labor, but the strength of our community. Together, we have shown that hope can bloom even in the harshest storms." Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Lee felt a wave of warmth wash over him. All around him were smiles, stories, and a sense of belonging. Each face reflected a journey of growth, both for the land and for themselves. As the day unfolded, Ali found himself chatting with families, sharing stories of resilience and the beauty of organic farming. He spotted Bill, now proudly showcasing his own crops at the market booth, beaming with enthusiasm. "Ali," Bill called out, waving him over. "You have to try these tomatoes, they're amazing." Ali took a bite, the fresh taste bursting with flavor. "These are incredible, Bill. You've really embraced this journey." "Thanks to you," Bill replied, sincerity shining in his eyes. "You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." The event culminated in a community dinner, where everyone gathered to share their dishes, each plate a reflection of their hard work. Ali stood at the head of the table, taking in the sight of friends and neighbors united in joy. "We did this together," he said, raising his glass. "To resilience, to our community, and to the power of hope." The crowd echoed his cheer, and Ali felt tears prick his eyes not from sadness but from overwhelming gratitude. Amidst laughter, stories, and the joyful camaraderie, he realized that dreams were not just cultivated in fields, they flourished in the hearts of those willing to cultivate them together. As the days turned into months, Ali found himself reflecting on the journey, the struggles, the setbacks, and the triumphs. With Victor's support and the unwavering belief of his community, he had built more than just a successful farm. They had built a legacy grounded in resilience, kindness, and connection. One evening, as Ali sat on the porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, he felt a sense of peace settle within him. The journey ahead was still unwritten, but for the first time, he felt ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. "Ali," Victor said, joining him on the porch, a content smile on his face. "Look at what we've created together. It is incredible." "Indeed, it is," Ali replied, gratitude bubbling within him. "And it all started with a dream." "Not just your dream," Victor corrected gently. "Our dream, the dream of our community." Ali nodded, the weight of that truth settling in. It was a beautiful realization that dreams could flourish not in isolation but in the embrace of a shared purpose, nourished by resilience and the unyielding spirit of the human heart. And so, as the stars began to twinkle in the clear Cedar Valley sky, Ali knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The beauty of the human spirit had shown him that hope was not a fleeting whisper but a powerful force that could ignite change, heal wounds, and cultivate a brighter future for generations to come.